All right, let's talk about Defence Holdings PLC. We're going to dive into their latest report. And trust me, if you cut through all the corporate speak, there's a really compelling story here. We're talking a major turnaround, a super smart strategy, and just a ton of momentum. So let's get into it.
The company kicks off its whole report with this one sentence, and you might think, oh, that's just corporate jargon, but it's really not. This is the main theme of their entire story. It's basically them saying, hey, we're hitting our stride now. Everything we're going to talk about today is built on this idea of accelerating momentum.
And boom, right away, here's the big news, the thing you absolutely need to know. Their main project, Project Ixian, is this close to landing its first commercial contract. This is huge. It's the clearest sign you could ask for that they're shifting from just developing stuff to actually selling it. A real game changer.
Okay, so the big question is, how'd they do it? And what happens next? We're going to break it all down into 6 parts. We'll start with the momentum and key wins, then look at the financial turnaround that made it possible. After that, we'll dive into their core sovereign AI tech, their big partnerships, the new leadership team, and finally, what it all means for 2026.
All right, first up, let's talk about that momentum and their key wins. This is all about that massive shift from just being in development to being on the brink of a contract.
So the really interesting part here isn't just that a contract is coming, it's how fast it's happening. I mean, the report says it's moving at a pace not typically seen in UK defense. For this industry, that's a massive deal. Of course, the details are under wraps for now, but it's basically a giant blinking sign that a big announcement is coming, and soon.
But, progress like this doesn't just happen out of thin air, right? It's all fueled by a really dramatic financial turnaround. So let's look at the money side of things, how they built a rock-solid balance sheet to make all this happen. Wow. Okay, this chart just says it all, doesn't it? I mean, just look at that transformation. Before, you had assets of just £77,000, completely swamped by over $700,000 in liabilities. Yikes. And now, well, assets have skyrocketed to $2.72 million, and liabilities are down to just $78,000. It's a total 180. This is what a solid foundation for growth looks like.
Let's just focus on that one number for a second. £2.72 million in assets. That single figure tells you everything you need to know about the company's new financial muscle.
And this is so important. It's not just numbers on a spreadsheet. We're talking about £2.21 million in actual cash, cold, hard cash. In an industry like defense where things can take a long time to develop, having that kind of cash on hand is like rocket fuel. It's what keeps the whole engine running. So where'd all this firepower come from? Well, they had a hugely successful capital raise. We're talking £3.45 million. And this wasn't just about the money. It was a massive vote of confidence from investors. Even their own board members put their own money in. That really says something.
Okay, so they've got the cash, they've got the momentum, but what is it they're actually building? Let's get into the tech that's at the very core of their strategy, something they call sovereign AI. So what is sovereign AI? Well, the easiest way to think about it is like this. It's about a country having its very own ultra-secure AI for defense and national security. The whole point is to make sure that critical data and decisions are never dependent on anyone else. It's all about keeping control. This single idea, it's the foundation of their entire business. But here's a really key part of their plan. They're not trying to do this all by themselves. They know that in today's world, you win by building an entire ecosystem, which brings us to our next section, their strategic partnerships.
So their main partner here is a company called Whitespace, who are specialists in AI infrastructure. And what's important to see here is that this isn't just some handshake deal for a press release. No, this is a real working partnership. They've got active projects going, they've already started initial builds for the UK Ministry of Defence, and they've put £1 million into developing things together. This is all about real-world results. And it's not just specialists. They're also working with the big guys, the huge global cloud providers. You can think of them as providing the super secure global highways for their technology to run on. This is what lets them deploy their sovereign AI on a massive scale, not just in their home country, but across allied nations. It even lets them get into those super secret, classified, air-gapped zones. So basically, it gives them both security and a truly global reach. So you've got the momentum, you've got the money, you've got the tech. But what's the final piece of the puzzle? It's always the people, right? So let's take a look at the new leadership team they've brought in to make all this happen. Which, of course, leads to the big question. Who's actually steering the ship through this really critical phase? Who's taking them from being a development company to a commercial powerhouse? Well, the answer is a team of absolute heavy hitters. I mean, their chairman is Lord Houghton. He's the former head of the entire British Armed Forces. You just can't get more strategic insight than that. Then you've got a new CTO with serious AI chops and a vice chair who just got a key appointment at NATO, giving them a direct line to allies. And with a new CEO search almost wrapped up, it's pretty clear they're building a team that's all about one thing: delivering at scale.
Okay, let's pull all these threads together now and look ahead. What's the outlook for 2026? How are they planning to turn all this momentum they've fought so hard for into real, tangible value?
This slide really lays out just how methodical they've been. When you strip it all back, their entire strategy has been 4 simple, logical steps. First, fix the finances. Second, build the technology. Third, create strong alliances. And fourth, get the right leaders in place. It's like a textbook turnaround plan, and they've just been executing it perfectly, step by step. And the foundation for this whole thing is a real commitment to being smart with their money. What this means is they're not just growing for the sake of it. Their growth is tied directly to what customers actually need and what the real demand is. They're building a real sustainable business here, not just telling a good story. And that brings us to the final big question, looking to the future. They've fixed the finances, they've matured the tech, they've built the partnerships, and they've got the leadership team ready to go. It really feels like all the pieces are finally in place. So the question is 2026 the year that Defence Holdings takes all this incredible momentum and turns it into major long-term commercial success? Well, based on everything we've seen in this report, the stage is definitely set.